excited to be here, and no matter what Shay may tell you, it is not warm here. Not by my definition. I had to unpack my bag and repack it because it's nice and toasty in Phoenix. So again, so excited and so excited to see you. Hey, Cynthia, what's up? Hey, Jamie, nice to see you. I love those shoes, girl. So I'm really excited, and thank you so much for Lyman's presentation on focus. How many of you guys got some really good takeaways? Yeah, he shared some really, really good information. And one of my objections today is for you to walk away from this presentation and never look at no the same. So you may be thinking about your business, and you're thinking about growing your business, and you're thinking about revenue and profits and some of those things that keep you up at night. And so if that is you, and you've been focused, right? Now that we're all focused, Lyman has us focused, we're going to talk about no, but we're actually going to talk about no in a different context. So again, I'm Dr. Nadia Brown. I'm actually your champion for womanpreneurs, and I am so excited to be here. This is becoming like my second home. So I'm really excited to be here in Maryland today, all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're going to talk about rejection therapy, your secrets to overcoming objections during your conversation. Because one of the things that you have to focus on when you're looking at growing your business is actually closing the deal, right? No deals, no business. You have no money, you have no business. So that is very, very important. So you may be wondering, who exactly is this for, right? Who is this for? Well, I'm assuming that if you're here at Small Biz on Fleek, and if you're online with us on Small Biz on Fleek, that you have a business, or you at least desire to have a business. But one of the things that I've noticed even with myself, I remember when I started my business, and I'll share a little bit more about my story, but even with the small business owners that we have the privilege and honor to work with, many of them find that they fear rejection. So by show of hands, and for those of you who are online, if you post in virtualnetworkinglive.com, how many of you have ever woken up in the morning? You woke up and you were excited, right? And you said, today is the day that I get rejected. And you were excited about being rejected. Anybody? Anybody? That's what I thought. No one, for those of you online, no one raised their hands here in the audience, and I'm pretty sure no one raised their hands out there. None of us like rejection. Rejection is actually one of the top 10 fears. According to some studies, some people would rather die than be rejected. So it's really serious when it comes to rejection. But how many of you know when you're looking at growing your business and having sales, you put yourself at risk of being rejected, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So you may fear rejection. How many of you have ever experienced rejection? Right. You've experienced rejection. You were hurt. You didn't feel good about it. How many of you remember like vivid details of that? Like, yeah, those things stick with you. And so again, you don't wake up and say, yes, today is the day that I get rejected. And yet we have to grow our businesses. So how do we overcome that so that we can generate the revenue that we want to see and serve the people that we desire to serve? How many of you have avoided rejection? Be honest. Be honest out there. If you've avoided rejection, go ahead and post in the group. That's me, Dr. Nadia. I've avoided rejection. And it's funny because we have our cell phones, right? Cell phone. Hold your cell phone up if you have it available. Do you think your phone is heavy at all? A little bit? No? Some say yes, some say no. And it's funny because I've had my cell phone, and I live on this little thing, right? And there have been days when I could just get off the phone with family or a good friend, and my phone felt just fine. Light as a feather, it's not that heavy. But when it came time to pick up the phone to make a sales call, suddenly that phone looked like it weighed a ton of bricks, right? It was like, ooh, I don't need to do that phone. The dishes need to be washed, laundry needed to be done, something else needed to be, took precedence over dealing with that phone because honestly, we avoid rejection. We don't want to put ourselves at risk of hearing the word no. How many of you like the word no? That's why Lyman just had to train us on how to say it because most of us don't like it so much we don't even say it. So again, today my goal is for you to never look at the word no again because all of that starts here in our head. So one of the things you have to do is how many of us know intellectually that we have to ask for the sale? We know it, right? We've been trained to ask. But how many of us have had a sales conversation but didn't ask? Go ahead, be honest. It's okay, no judgment. I've done it. I've given some bomb.com sales presentations, and when it came down to ask for the money, I froze up, right? It was just like, yeah, so it could kind of sort of be, don't worry, we're going to talk about that. Or you just, you know what, I'll follow up. Let's follow up and talk. I got to get my sales courage, right? Hashtag sales courage up to even talk about the money. Well, if that's you, you are definitely in the right place, because I want you to go from running away from rejection, from being afraid to ask, to being excited to having sales conversations. All right? So I have to admit that I've been there. I've been there before. I've been there in my business. So this fall, I would have started my business 5 years ago. And I remember, thank you, I remember starting my business, and I thought, surely, if anyone could be successful in business, it was me. And it wasn't a place of arrogance. I was just pretty confident that, you know, my education and my training, that surely it couldn't be that hard, right? How many of you felt that way? Like, you know, I got this business, I have passion, I have desire, and how many of you have heard that, you know, if the passion, you follow your passion, the money comes, and all this stuff. So I really bought into some of that. I was like, I'm following my passion, I'm quitting my job. You know, that's a whole nother story, because I have a husband that was looking at me extra sideways with that. But I just knew. I was like, you know, I have a degree in this and a degree, and now I have an MBA. If anybody could figure this business thing out, surely it would be me. So I started my business. I started on this journey, and it was a hot mess. I was sitting there in my office for many, many months with no clients, trying to figure this sales thing out. And one of the things I realized was that there was a lot of fear. Anybody dealt with fear? How many of you online have dealt with fear? Just the whole fear around, I don't know what to say, or what if they say no, or what if they don't like it, or what if I make a mistake? There are lots of questions around that. And one thing I noticed, especially when working with my clients, is that rejection. And I started talking to a lot of clients, and I'm like, okay, well, why? You know, let's get to the root of the matter, right? What's going on here when you have this desire to build your business? And many of them would come back and say, you know what, Dr. Nadia, I have a serious fear of rejection. So that made me think, like, okay, it's not just me, and it's not just you. There are many of us out here. And so we started to really take a step back. But I remember I started to think, well, where did this come from? Because sometimes you get curious, like, okay, we don't all just wake up not feeling well or not feeling confident. Something had to come. And I think it was Frederica when she talked about the things that you listen to. Faith not only comes by hearing, but the negative stuff comes by hearing. So someone, somewhere, something happened along the way, and you heard that maybe you weren't good enough, or you weren't smart enough, or you weren't pretty enough, or you weren't tall enough, or you weren't loud enough, or whatever that is. For you, you probably, some of you may have heard all of that, but the case is many of us have dealt with rejection. And oftentimes when we're looking at this fear of rejection and where it comes from, it stems from our childhood. How many of us were hurt as children? How many of us remember? I remember one of my first rejections, and it was, I won't say it was the first, but it was definitely one that has stuck with me. And it was, I was a teenager, I was in high school, and I'd grown up all these years without having my dad around. And because I was my grandparents' favorite, that's my own self-admission, my grandparents never said that, but Nadia felt like she was a favorite. My mom is one of 10 children. She had 7 brothers, so I had a big family, lots of cousins. I was surrounded, I was loved, I was not neglected. And so frankly, I really didn't pay attention to the fact that he wasn't around. You know, you kind of know, but you don't know, you don't really pay it any attention. So I get to high school, and I meet a friend named Amanda. We're about in our junior year, and me and Amanda became really, really, really good friends. And Amanda and I, you know, we first start talking, like, well, where do you live and what's going on? Come to find out, Amanda lived right next door to my dad, Joe. Right next door to Joe. Right, not down the street, not around the corner, right next door. And Amanda and I were so close that her mom said I should write you off on my taxes. Like, I was over there all the time, hanging out, spending time with them, having a good time. Still, I really didn't pay attention to this whole dad thing. It's like, yeah, whatever. Until one day, we went to Tallahassee. I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I love warm weather. In case y'all hadn't figured that out, love warm weather, don't do snow. So one spring break, we went to Tallahassee. Amanda's parents were divorced. Her dad lived in Tallahassee. So we went to hang out and spend a week in Tallahassee. And I realized that despite the fact that Amanda's parents weren't married, they still had a really cool relationship. And that was like, I wonder if I too could have that relationship with my dad, who just happens to live right next door. It's like I had to go far to find him, right? So one day I decided I'm going to go over and say hi to Dad, because surely if Amanda has this relationship and her dad lives in Tallahassee, I can have this kind of relationship. My dad lives next door. So I go over. I'm excited. See him. I see he lived in a red brick house, and they had a carport. Carports were big in Jacksonville. And I saw his wife, Glorious. Her car was there. And I was like, okay, they're home. This is good. This is good. And I walk up to the door, and I knock on the door, and no one answers. So at first I'm thinking, well, maybe they're busy or they didn't hear me. So let's knock again. Let's ring the doorbell. Nothing happens. And I was standing at this door, and to the left, I should say, when you're facing the door, there's a window. And I saw the blinds move. So there are humans on the other side of this door, and yet no one ever answered the door. So you can imagine what I felt like at this time of having to walk back over to Amanda's house and not be able to explain why my dad didn't answer that door. Talk about serious rejection. And to this day, I don't know why. We haven't really talked about it, but it is what it is. But when you think about that, and you think about sales, and you think about growing your business, one thing I realized is that when you're starting to have these conversations and you're looking to talk to people and invite them to work with you, guess what you're doing? You're putting yourself at risk of knocking on that door, having someone look at you through the blinds and not answer, and deal with the rejection that comes along with it. How do you move past that so that you can serve, so that you can grow your business, so that you can be of service to your clients? Because that doesn't have to stop you. So whether it was dad or friends at the playground or mom or ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife, doesn't matter where the rejection came from. The truth of the matter is many times we carry that with us, and it impacts the growth of our business. So today we're going to talk about how to overcome it, because it doesn't have to stop you. That doesn't define who you are. You are amazing. You are the bomb.com, and you can serve people. You can grow your business, and also, wherever your area of expertise is, help others too. So we're going to get down to it. Which way do I want to go, actually? So while there's a handout I actually want you to go ahead and download. So text the word money, because we're having a money conversation. Text the word money to 240-428-6333. Text the word money to 240-428-6333. And we're going to talk about sales and rejection and overcoming objections. There are a couple statistics that I want to share at first, and that is that 44% of salespeople give up after the first no. %44 of salespeople quit. We just give up. We get a no. They don't return our phone call. They don't respond to our email. And we're just like, forget them. I'm not going to call them back. Anybody ever been there? I can see it. What about you guys online? Go to virtualnetworkinglive.com and go ahead and post in the private Facebook group is that's you. You're like, yep, Dr. Nadia, that's me. I've given up. But here's the thing, and I want you guys to pay close attention to this. 80% of sales are closed after the 5th follow-up. %. How much money did you just leave on the table because you didn't call back? Think about it. 44%, almost half, give up after the first no. Most don't ever make it to the 5th. Some get to the 2nd. We'll do a 2nd follow-up or send a 2nd email or some type of reach out or outreach. But 80% of your sales are closed after the 5th no. 93% of leads are converted after the 6th. %. So almost half of us give up. Don't worry, no judgment. Been there, done that. 80% are closed after the 5th. So that means somewhere between here and here, I need to start calling people or reaching out or following up, right? And we hear the fortunes in the follow-up, but no one really talks to us about, how to do that and what that looks like and what this follow-up, how do we handle that? But then 93% are converted. So we're going to get out of the 44%, right? Today we're going to make a commitment that we're not going to hang out there any longer. And we're going to convert our leads because we're going to follow up. So how are we going to do that, Dr. Nadia? Because that all sounds good, right? This sounds great. And we hear these statistics. I've been to conferences and events, and I was like, yes. And I get home, and I don't do anything. I'm just being honest. And I have beautiful notes. People comment on my notebooks, and I write in different color ink, and I highlight, and it's great. And then I get home, and I stick it somewhere, usually in a closet. And Toby's like, what are you going to do with all this crap? Because I ain't doing anything with it. And my business still looked the same. So today we're going to share techniques because none of you are going to do that. We're going to share information, and I want to dive deep so that we can get the information we need to actually change that. So step 1 is we're going to make a commitment, and I'm looking at all y'all. I'm going to take a picture. So most of y'all know by name, so I can follow up with you personally. Did you do this? Step 1 is we're going to start our rejection diary. And we actually have a challenge in the Revenue Roundtable for the month of May where we're doing this exact exercise. And one of the clients called me last week and she said, Dr. Nadia, I will never look at no the same way again, ever. So I want you to walk away today with that same excitement, that same enthusiasm, that you will never look at no the same way again. Because guess what happens with the rejection diary is you set a goal. Your goal, and I want you to write this down, is to get 100 no's. Anyone just give me the side eye? They're giving me the side eye. They're looking at me like, Dr. Nadia, I thought you just said that we didn't want to look at no, and what are you talking about? So let me break this down. What does that mean, right? Because they're not excited. How many of you online are excited about no? You're like, wait, what? All right, so we're going to have our rejection diary, and I'm going to tell you a little more about that in a second. And then we have a goal where we're going to get 100 no's. We want 100 no's. And I'm going to explain to you why, because there's a reason. I'm not just doing this because I feel like, that I should be mean to you and put you at risk and, hurt your feelings. That is not why at all. There's a method to the madness, and it works. So the first thing, let's talk about the rejection diary. How many of you are old-fashioned pen and paper folks? Okay, good deal. How many of you are new age, new technology? I don't have time to carry around a doggone notebook. Get your life, Dr. Nadia. Good. All right, no worries. I got this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our diary, whether it's pen or paper or online. So a couple of your online resources are penzu.com or evernote.com. So I want you to make a commitment, and there is nothing like gathering this type of information. So even for you guys online, penzu.com or evernote.com or just an old-fashioned diary. Pen and paper. I like pretty diaries. All right? So we're going to make this commitment, and this is what we're going to do. All right, Dr. Nadia, what in the world are we putting in this diary? Because I'm not excited. How many of you were excited when I said get a rejection diary? Nobody. They were looking at me like, this girl is crazy. So what is the thing? So, all right, so with the rejection diary, here are a couple things we're going to write down. Remember, what's our goal? 100 no's. Good deal. So that means you have to actually do what? Talk to people, right? Good deal. Absolutely. I'm getting directives from this dude behind the camera. So, Jamie with the pretty shoes, come on up. The girl thing, you wouldn't understand, Trevor. Do you have questions for me?
Kimberly, the computer lady branch says, Dr. Nadia, I'm just being honest. I love it. Grise Love says, what's the text number to text in the document? Clarissa Walton, she says she's out there. She wants you to give the number out again. They're following it. And the fellow womenpreneurs are out there. They are with you.
Hey, ladies.
You have Cora Harrell. She says, thank you, Dr. Nadia. And so is Aretha Martin. So they are out there. They said the womenpreneurs are with you.
Thank you. Womenpreneurs, we rock. Hi. It's so nice to meet her in person. All right. Hi, Jamie. Just say here. Wait to the camera.
Everybody.
All right. So, were you excited about the rejection diary?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. No worries. No worries. So, which one of these do you think you'll use? Online or paper?
Probably the diary.
Perfect. No worries. I have cute pink ones. It's great. All right. So, what do you think the next step might be?
Make a list of your 100 no's.
Close. Good deal. Good deal. So we have our goal, 100 no's. And what we're going to do is we are going to document our 100 no's. There's very specific information that we're going to gather. The first thing we're going to gather is what is the specific objection? So actually, I know, we got some interesting angles here. Specific objection. What did the prospect say? What exactly did they say? What was their specific objection? Because sometimes we kind of make stuff up in our heads, right? It's like, oh, well, no. Be very specific, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But what did the prospect say? You're in information gathering mode. You want to understand what's going on with my conversations, because once you understand that, you can improve it, and you're not continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again. But what does this mean you have to do? In order for them to object, you have to give them something to object to, which means you have to what? Ask. I was talking to one of our revenue roundtable participants, and she goes, Dr. Nadia, I'm so excited about this challenge. I talked to 25 people. I was like, this is awesome. But she wasn't getting any yeses. And I was like, that's odd. Tell me more. She's like, I'm talking about the benefits. I'm talking about the value. I'm doing all these great things. And I was like, awesome. This is great. And so then I said, well, did you ask anyone to become a client? She goes, oh, no. They can't object if you don't ask. So don't forget that very important step. You have to ask. How do you feel so far? Can you think of a specific objection? Not right now, no worries. So for those of you who are taking notes, I just want you to really quickly think about your last or recent sales conversation and what was that specific objection, if you can recall it, that our prospect had. And for those of you online, go ahead and post it at virtualnetworkinglive.com What was the specific objection that you received? You're going to start practicing right now. Not going to wait till we get home and then you don't do it. And don't worry, because I'm calling all of y'all. I'm like, all right, did you get your work done? Because the number, I wrote it down and didn't say it. My apologies. To text the word money to 240-428-6333. Text the word money to 240-428-6333. And the handout that you'll get, we'll need it in a moment. So you'll definitely want to go ahead and grab that. So we have our specific objection. We wrote it down because we asked. You ever had issues with the whole ask?
Yeah. I still.
You still do?
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to solve that. All right, so then what else do we do? Step 3 is to write down your emotions. How did you feel about it? Because all of us have emotions, right? Anybody in here that does not have any emotions, ever? That's what I thought. We all have emotions. We may express them differently. We all have emotions. And here's the thing. We all have triggers. You ever had an emotional sales conversation? You had a sales conversation. You were like, I don't know how I feel about that. We've all had it. Here's one thing I've learned, that if you don't watch your emotions will mess you up. You cannot allow your emotions to run your business. Write that down. You cannot allow your emotions to run your business. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate you. It's nice meeting you in person. Hand that to those guys over there.
He's with you on the 100 no's.
Yes. Thank you, Linda. I have your number, so I'll be calling you. All right. So when you're looking at your rejection diary, you write down a specific objection. What did the prospect say, right? And then we look at the emotions, because we all have triggers. I was actually speaking with a colleague recently, and she shared that she had a sales conversation, and the person's response actually offended her. And I was like, interesting. Write that down. Pay attention to those triggers, because if we're not careful, our emotions will cause us to check out, shut down, and sometimes lose a sale because we've gotten emotional. Write this in your notes. The sale is not about you. The sale is not about you. And when you insert yourself into that conversation, when you make it about you, how you feel, how you look, how you whatever, you are now doing your prospect and your potential future client a disservice. You serving your clients and prospects starts in that conversation. So you can't make it about you. All right? The sale is not about you. But we still have emotions. So the thing that we're doing is we're now gathering the information, so now that we are aware, we won't allow it to sneak up on us. Preparation builds our confidence, and it sets us up for success. So we're not just doing this just to be doing it. So there are a couple other things that we learn by setting a goal to get 100 no's and by completing our rejection diary. One, we find out our specific objection, and you'll start to see a pattern around what people are saying, and now we can adjust or tweak what you're saying, because many times we can address objections even before we get to the close or to the ask. And we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing that you learn is your yes to no ratio. How many of you know off the top of your head your yes-no ratio? How many of you even know what a yes-no ratio is? A couple of you. No one raised their hand that they knew what it was, but they actually know what it is. That's a good thing. Your yes-no ratio is how many no's does it take to get to your yes? How many no's does it take to get to your yes? That's why we got to get 100. We're collecting information. How many of you have ever done 100 sales conversations in 1 month? Right, so even to do 100 conversations isn't right, okay, good deal. And we know that when you have 100 conversations, you won't get 100 no's. You're going to get some yeses mixed in there, so that's good. So that'll help grow your business. But you have to know, you want to know your yes-no ratio, and then we also want to know the specific objection to you. So the objection that I get may not be the same one that Cynthia gets. She may get a different objection. So she can't borrow my script because it's different. If she's getting an objection where, we don't have the time, and my objection is, I don't have the money, can you see how our responses will be very different? And if I was trying to borrow her script and vice versa, it would be a hot mess. Right. So you want to look at that. And then you'll also start to notice patterns around what you're saying leading to that. Because sometimes we know something, you're like, oh, I know that this is going to be interesting because of just the way the conversation has gone. So you'll pay attention to that, and we'll also look at the emotions. So we got that. We have our goal of what? 100 no's. We have our rejection diary, and now we're ready to rock and roll. All right, so if you've downloaded your handout, you'll need it for this next part. And again, if you want to grab the handout, text the word money to 240-428-6333. All right. This is one of my favorite conversations. It took me a while to get here. So we have our location, we have our destination. All right, does anyone actually live at this building where we are right now? Anyone? No? Okay, good. Just checking. So that means all of us had to get in a car or catch an Uber or a bus or a train or something to get here today, right? Good deal. Awesome. Okay, so as we know, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I don't ever plan to drive from Phoenix to Maryland, so I always hop on a plane. This trip was good. We didn't have any delays, but I've had flights where there were delays, weather, things shut down or whatever the case may be. But an interesting thing that has occurred is I never stopped and said, let me off the plane because we're going to be late getting to Maryland. Anybody ever did that? Get off the plane because they were going to be late? Okay, just checking. All right, I'm in the right place. So I want you to think about this. We've all traveled, even today. Even for those of you online, if you didn't travel to leave your home today or your office, you definitely have traveled at some point. How many of us have ever had to stop at a stop sign or take a detour? Good deal. All right, so we've all dealt with some type of delay, some type of setback, some type of I thought I was going to be on time, and now I'm not. Thank God I have a cell phone to text the folks that I'm going to be late. Location. So we all start here, and I want you to think about this when you're looking at your sales conversations and your goal. I'll write our goal up here so we don't forget, of 100 no's. Because this no thing is real. So when you think about your location in sales, this is where we all start. We have a vision, we have a desire, we want to serve, we're going to have a conversation, we're looking to work with people, invite them to work with us or purchase our product, program, or service, whatever the case may be. We all start here. So on your diagram, I want you to go ahead and just draw some mile markers. Because we're all headed somewhere, right? We all have a vision. We're headed somewhere to our destination. So even in my example, like I mentioned, I had a recent trip actually to DC, go figure, right? And there was some flight delays. I was originally scheduled to fly through Chicago. Well, it was snowing in Chicago. They weren't letting anybody in Chicago, so they shut it down, and they rerouted me through St. Louis. And then later, right outside of DC, I was excited. We're getting ready to land, and I noticed that we were going in circles. So I'm a window seat girl, and I'm looking out, and I was like, isn't that the same farmhouse I just saw 5 minutes ago? And the pilot said, for those of you who haven't noticed, we're in a holding pattern because of the weather in DC. They won't let us land. And I was like, oh, man, are you serious? But here's what I want you guys to know. Not one time during this entire trip did I talk to any flight attendant, any desk agent, the pilot, and say, let me off, take me back to Phoenix because it's taking me too long to get to my destination. In sales, it's the same process. So when we get a no, right? We had a conversation. We get one no. We get another no. We get another no. We get another no. We're just going through this whole process to get to our destination. No is your journey. This is the journey from here to here. You have to go through no. So I want you to ask yourself and be honest. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to post in the Facebook group. This is just a conversation between you and yourself. How many no's? How many no's will it take for you to build the business of your dreams? For some of you, how many no's will it take for you to finally leave your job? How many no's will it take for you to leave a legacy for your children? How many no's will it take for you to be able to build your team? Here's the thing. Yes is where we're all headed, but no is how we get there. Write that down. Yes is where we're all headed, and no is how we get there. Your destination is yes. We all want yes. We all need yes. But we first have to get through no. How many no's? How many for you no is keeping you stuck? No is preventing you from having the business that you want. No is preventing you from leaving that job that you're tired of going to. No is keeping you from having a vacation or leaving a legacy to your children, because we won't deal with no. Now, not one person said that because they had to stop at a stop sign or take a detour or get pulled over by the cops or whatever the case may have been, that may have prevented you or even slowed you down to even getting here today. No one turned around. We all got here. And yet in sales, for whatever reason, we feel like when we're hitting no's and we're getting no after no, we feel like we're doing something wrong. No just simply means I'm getting closer to my yes. And when you think about the statistics, the first no, that means I have 4 more to go to improve my chances. Actually 5, 4 to 5 more to go to even up my chances of getting to that yes. So yes is where we're all headed, and no is how we get there. So for some of you, you may be thinking, you know what, Dr. Nadia, we need to talk, because I'm still, head tripping about this goal, or I want to talk to you about my journey, or I want to talk to you about my diary, and whatever the case may be, I want to take some time to speak with you. Some of you have spoken with me before, so you already know it's not going to be painful. It's going to be a great conversation. So if that's you, and you're like, Dr. Nadia, I just want to spend some time speaking with you for a moment about, let's look at what's going on. Why am I getting some of these objections? How do I deal with them? Then I want you to text the word rejection. Text the word rejection to 202-270-1662. Text the word rejection to 202-270-1662. Include your first name, your last name, your email address, and your best contact number. That's your first name, your last name, your email address, and your best contact number, and we'll have a conversation. We'll take a look at your rejection diary. But you first have to make the commitment, 100 no's, right? You make the commitment, we'll talk about it. We'll look at it, we'll make some adjustments, we'll see what needs to take place, but because I want to help you. I want to help you go from where I was. I hated sales. I avoided it at all costs, to now I have fun. My husband's like, I walk past your office and I don't think you're doing any work. Until I run out and I'm like, oh my gosh, babe, I just closed another deal. He's like, how did you do that? What were you in there doing? If you too want to love having sales conversations and having fun, how many of you want to have fun in your business? Having fun serving your clients? Yes, it doesn't have to be drudgery. Trust me, it doesn't. I went there, been there, done that, have a couple t-shirts. So it doesn't have to be that way. So if you would like to chat with me about your journey, your goal, your yes-no ratio, whatever the case may be, let's hop on the phone. I'll actually be here for a couple days, whatever the case, let's do that. And again, that number is 202-270-1662. Text the word rejection, include your first name, your last name, your phone number, and your email address. All right, so really quickly, as I prepare to wrap up, we're going to talk about a couple things. So now that we know what our objections are, here's what I want you to start preparing to do. Because now that you have your diary, you have some intel, you have some information, and when we have data, we can make some changes. So the first thing we have is the actual objection. What's the specific objection? So we gather this from our rejection diary. The next part is we're going to actually work with me, y'all. Don't fuss. Don't throw any tomatoes at me. Write out our objection handling script. Here's the thing about this. We're going to write it down. And you may look at me, I don't want to write it down, Dr. Nadia. Today, I don't care what you want. We're going to write it down. Here's why. Because how many of you have ever got nervous during a sales conversation and you forgot, right? You had that brain fart like, my name is, right. We've all been there. It happens to us. Or you're just, excited. This does a couple things. One, now you're prepared. So even if you do get nervous or you do get excited, guess what? You have your cheat sheet. You just look down and read the words that are on the paper. It also helps you to feel more confident. Because sometimes, how many of you have gone into a sales conversation and you're like, well, I don't know. Well, what if they say this? Then and you get stuck in that headspace. You're trying to think about what they're going to say, so you're not even present. When you know that if they say that they don't have the time, then I'll say whatever we write down. Or if they say that they can't afford it, then I'll say, is that your only concern? So now you have a response, right? So now you have this written out. It builds your confidence and it helps you to bring it to a close. Because now you're prepared. You know what to say, you know when to say it, you know how to say it, and you're really ready and prepared to serve. So one more thing that we're going to do. After we write it out, guess what we're going to do? Anybody have a guess? Practice. Thank you, Frederica. We're going to practice, practice, practice. That's the other benefit of having your goal of 100 no's. You get a whole lot of practice, right? A whole lot of practice in dealing with your objections. And you can either practice, have your conversations, practice with a partner, a peer, a coach, a mentor, a spouse, whatever the case may be. We're going to practice, practice, practice. So we're going to find our specific objections. We're going to write out an objection handling script for each different one. So we'll have one for time. We'll have one for money. We'll have one for I need to speak to my spouse, my business partner, my dog, my cat, whatever the case is. We're going to have a script for all that so that we'll know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and we will have our confidence. Because when you're confident, your prospect is confident. And if they're confident, then they have confidence in you. And this working for them and you being the right person for them. But if you're nervous, they can feel it. And if you're lacking confidence, this is going to be a whole lot tougher. So we're going to practice, practice, practice. We're going to look at our specific objections from our what? Our diary, right? And then we're going to write out our specific objection handling script. Scripts are your friend. Write that down. Scripts are my friend. I've been there. I didn't want to use a script. For many years, I avoided scripts until I got to that place where I was so desperate to improve sales, and I made that commitment to myself that something has to change, and I'm going to have to be willing to get uncomfortable. And if it means trying out the script, what's the worst that could happen? I've already spent a lot of time wandering around in the wilderness, not doing stuff right. This might actually work. Scripts are your friend. Try it out. You can make it your own, but it gives you that roadmap. It gives you a guide. All right, so let's see. How much time do I have? We have a couple minutes, couple things that I'll go over really quickly. So again, you want some more juice, give me a call. So be sure to text in the word rejection to 202-270-1662, 202-270-166. That's so smart. Thank you, Dr. Trey. 202-270-1662. Text the word rejection. Include your first name, your last name, your email address, and your best contact phone number. So in the few moments that I have, you may be thinking, all right, Dr. Nadia, you're talking about the script, and we only talked about one very specific script, but what about my overall sales conversations? How many of you feel like if I just had an idea of what to say, when to say it, how to say it, I would feel a lot more confident? Right, most of us feel that way. That was me. I was like, well, I don't know what to say. I did all this work to generate the lead. Now I'm sitting here with this prospect. Now what do I do? So, a couple things that we're going to look at really quickly, and we're just going to talk about the anatomy of a script. And we won't have time to dive deep. So that'll just give us a reason to have coffee, right? An excuse to meet. So the first thing is your opening. You want to have an opening which, you know, your pleasantries. Your parents taught you your good manners, so you're good. It also sets the stage for the conversation around what's coming next. So you want to set expectations and take your place as the leader. You are leading this conversation. You are in control. You are cool, calm, collective. It's all good. The next one is questions. And then you ask questions and you listen. Be quiet. This is one that many of us get in trouble. We talk too much. Be quiet. It's not about you. Ask questions. This is how you know how to best serve your prospect. If you're doing all the talking, I'm just saying. I'm going to leave that just right there. I'm going to just let that sit there. Then we want to talk. Once we figure out what it is that they need, we'll make our recommendations. We may talk about value, benefits, all that good stuff. I know I'm going fast. I'll be back. And then once we do that, guess what happens next? So we talk about, you know, I recommend this program or whatever. Here are the value, the benefits of the program. What are you going to walk away with? How's this going to change your life? And we want to talk about the value of it. So we definitely want to frame that conversation. And then what do? We ask. We ask. We ask. No one is ever going to have another one of these conversations and not ask. And then we do this again. Once we ask, we be quiet. How many of us have talked ourselves out of a sale or down, our price down, because we couldn't handle the silence? Ask and be quiet. Take a sip of water. Put your phone on mute. Write yourself a letter. I don't care what you do. Just shut up. Don't say nothing. Let them figure it out. Because many times I found that people are quiet because they're actually trying to figure out how they can work with you. But you just talked yourself out a whole bunch of money. So then this is also where you'll deal with your objections. So if any objections come up, and then you'll close. And I know this is very, very elementary. So we'll have to come back to this later and really dive deep. But here's just some of the things. So if you're thinking about your conversations that you're having with your prospects, you have to think about the order that you're doing it, how you're doing it, but also now that you have an idea of what to say, when to say it, how to say it, some of you are like, yep, I'm in. And I don't look at no the same way. So before they come and do like on, what was that, Showtime at the Apollo with the big cane and pull me off the stage, I just want you to look at that. And again, you know, no is part of the process. No is part of the journey. No is a good thing. And it begins here. Most of our no's begin here. But once we change our emotions, our ideas, our thoughts around no, the sales conversations aren't so painful. And once you have over 100 of them and more, you just get that swagger. You get that sales courage to ask for the business, to work with more clients, and to grow your business. So again, if you want to have a conversation, you want to talk a little bit more about the anatomy of your specific script, any of your specific objections, I would love to have that conversation with you. Simply text the word rejection to 202-270-1662. Include your first name, your last name, your email address, and your best contact number. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to being up here again. I'm excited about the next several days of the Small Biz on Fleek conference. I am Dr. Nadia Brown, your champion for womanpreneurs. All right, is Shay coming up next?
Mic check. I'm over here, Dr. Nadia. Where are you going? This is the couch to come to. This is the place to be.
Oh.
Come on over. Let's give her a hand while they're getting that going. Don't worry about all that.
I was running off.
It's just you and I. It's just you and I right here. Rejection therapy.
Yes.
Our favorite topic.
One of mine, yes.
And
yes.
for folks that want to really generate more income, but not sound salesy.
Absolutely.
And of all that you talked about with rejection therapy, you mentioned it was something they should do. They should count their what?
Nose.
Count their nose. And when should they start doing that?
Now.
Now, okay. And then once they count their nose and they have that down, right? They have that down and they know what they're going to say. You talked about a script.
Yes.
Once